Hello, I'm going to be telling you about the unsolved homicide of Linda Muegee. Linda Ann Rising was born September 21st, 1951, in Buffalo, New York. She was the daughter of Alan B. and Louise Rising, and she was a sister to many siblings. Linda Rising was living in New Mexico when she met and married her ex-husband Fred S. Muegee, and they were married for 30 years. They both moved to Fredericksburg to answer an ad for a job they found in the newspaper. The job was to be caretakers for an elderly couple. Though Fred and Linda never had any children of their own, Linda did teach at a Montessori school, and she even started her own catering business called the Peasant Kitchen in Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg is a little tourist town 80 miles west of Austin with German roots. In Linda's spare time, she raised horses, goats, and sheep. She was also a prolific gardener. One of her sisters said she was just a unique individual with a finely tuned sense of right and wrong. She also said Linda was a photographer and a dancer, that she even had a spot secured in the Houston City Ballet when she was 19. Linda was a member and lector at St. Barnabas Episcopal Church. People at her church said she had a giving heart and would give food away from her catering business to the sick, elderly, and widowed. On September 3rd, 2003, Linda called the police to report that a man named Frank had followed her home from where she was introduced to him through a friend and was hanging out on her property, making her uncomfortable. Unfortunately, there is no further information or reports were ever documented on Frank. We don't even know his last name. On February 12th, 2006, Linda called the police to report that 2 of her bottle-fed sheep had been shot. It was later determined that the sheep had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle. On Monday, May 14th, 2007, at 5:30 p.m., Linda returned home from her yoga class. At 7:58 p.m., Linda's neighbors called to report that Linda's house was on fire. EMTs and firefighters arrived at Linda's house on 506 Franklin Street, Fredericksburg, Texas. Volunteer firemen quickly arrived because they were performing a practice drill only 5 blocks from her house. When they arrived, the house was fully involved, and it took the firemen 5 hours to put out the fire. Due to the intense fire, they couldn't even enter the house from different windows or doors. Once they had the fire under control, where they could enter the house, they discovered the body of Linda Muegee. Linda was only 55 years old. Linda was severely burned and found lying face down under a large amount of debris, which had fallen from the ceiling. After an autopsy was performed, it was determined Linda had died before the fire was started. She had stab wounds and blunt force injuries on her head and neck. A knife was found in the living room where the fire is believed to have been ignited by an accelerant. Strangely, Linda's underwear was down around her knees, but she wasn't sexually assaulted. In addition, a large sum of money was left in the house. However, Linda's cell phone and wallet also could not be found. The police looked into Linda's ex-husband of 30 years, Fred Muegee. Fred was remarried now to a woman named Mimi. We don't know if the police questioned Mimi. Fred said that he was in Austin, and there are credit card receipts that do put him at a yoga studio, but no one was able to confirm that it was him who swiped the card. Fred's DNA was found at the house, so the police asked him to take a polygraph test, which Fred failed twice. Fred died in 2013. My thoughts on this case. I think it's plausible for Fred's DNA to be in the house because it was mentioned that they remained friends after the divorce, but I can't say that I'm still sure that he had nothing to do with this since he did fail the polygraph twice. Linda was known to do her cooking on Mondays in her house, and the customers would come pick up their food on Tuesdays, and a friend said she had habits you could set the clock by, so maybe someone was watching her, or maybe this character Frank was back. I hope the friend that introduced Frank to Linda came forward with the last name to the police. It was also mentioned that she had a boyfriend, but I couldn't find any information on him. Why was her cell and wallet missing? And I wonder if they checked her phone records because maybe that person's number is in her phone. I'm curious if they had the knife found by her body tested for DNA. We know the fire started after the person killed her, so maybe this was to destroy any evidence. I think whoever did this knew her. I'm also, baffled by why her underwear would be pulled down, but there were no signs of a sexual assault. Is it to throw off the investigation? And also, I found some information about the sheep. Well, I kind of made a connection myself. So the sheep were shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and they actually found a .22 caliber rifle in Linda's house in one of the closets. I thought that was strange. And this person named Frank, I'm sure he is a real person, but I thought it was funny that she lives on Franklin and this guy's name is Frank. I don't know, I just thought that was weird. But anyways, the police said they have no suspects. And well, that was at the time, I think, of their investigation. As time went on, it was said that they did have a suspect, but they didn't have enough evidence to prove it was the suspect. I'm wondering if that was Fred. I'm not sure. But anyways, it was also mentioned that someone saw a teen on a bike in the area heading away from the direction of her house. If you have any information concerning this person, contact your local FBI office, Fredericksburg Police Department, or Texas Crime Stoppers. Thank you for listening.